I would like to know about when you did your MCAT. So, did you do it during the gap year or did you try to finish it along with your bachelor degree?
Yeah, that's a good question. And again, I think it is going to depend on your personal timeline. Um, so I took a gap year. And so even though I took 1 year off, that meant that, so the application cycle typically starts beginning of June. So May, the application will open. You'll have some time to write your essays and really prepare that. And then it is open for submission sometime in June. And then they'll process your application, which will take some time, and then it'll go to all of the schools. And then you'll start hearing back in July. And then your interviews and such will come in through the fall, beginning of winter. And then typically you'll have all of your offers in the spring, and then you'll make your decision by April or May, and you'll start in June. So that whole cycle takes about a year to get from application to matriculation. So even though I was taking a year off, that year was spent doing the application, right? I didn't apply and then take a year off. I was doing my applications on my year off, which meant that all of my materials had to be done, ready to go by the end of my senior year, because the summer after my senior year of college, I was applying so that I would then be able to join the next year. So in that case, I did do my MCAT during my undergraduate time. And I knew that it was one of those things that I couldn't really balance with my coursework. And I found that it was going to be easiest for me to really spend a couple of months only on that. So I took one of my summers in college to be able to study for the MCAT and get it down so that I could take it and it'll be good to go for my application. And it's not uncommon for people to take it more than once. I wouldn't say, I think they say you can't exceed it 3 times maybe in a year, but you can take it multiple times, but I think all of your scores have to be submitted. So you do want to try, if you do take it multiple times, to continue to improve. But yeah, when you take your exam is totally up to you as long as it's ready by the time you want to apply. The MCAT is going to cover biochem, some physics, organic chemistry, things like that. So typically people take it their junior or senior year because you'll have a lot of those core science courses completed. And that'll help you with the MCAT so that you don't have to study new material too much.
How would you say is the best way to study for the MCAT?
Typically, it is separated into like content review and then applying that content. So I think for me, it looked like spending a month or two on really learning things again and making sure that I was comfortable with the material. So that would be, brushing up on things from organic chemistry I didn't remember, or brushing up on my physics and biology and things like that. And then you'll spend a portion of the time that's mostly just doing practice questions. And there's a lot of formal courses that you can take to prepare you. Kaplan does one, Princeton Review does one. There's a lot of companies that make books. So a lot of companies sell 5 or 6 books where each book will cover one of the sections, and then you'll have a book with practice questions. There's online practice questions. I think the AAMC materials are really helpful. So they have a series of exams, a series of question banks that I think are really valuable tools because they are questions from the people who create the test. So they most similarly reflect what your exam is going to be like. So I think the wisest thing would be to pick one course prep for the content review. And it doesn't have to be the formal course where they do the online videos and all. If that's something that's going to be helpful for you, absolutely. But I think if you're somebody who can learn well from just reading a book, or kind of like a textbook, I think just getting the books themselves and using that as a guide. And how you learn the content also is up to you, whether you want to pay for the videos that those people create, or if you want to watch videos on YouTube. Khan Academy has a lot of really great free resources. And there's a lot of YouTubers out there who make MCAT review as well. So there's a lot of resources at your fingertips, and it's really just what you learn best from and how to structure that. And then, of course, your time frame and all of your studying while taking college classes, how you study and the amount of time you dedicate every day is going to look very different.
I kind of have two questions kind of mixed in one. So I kind of want to know a little bit about the format of the MCAT. Is it kind of similar to other standardized tests, like maybe like the SAT? And also, what really is it that makes the MCAT as hard as people say it is? Is it like doable, basically?
The MCAT is going to be 4 sections. with reading comprehension, a chemistry, physics section, a biology section, I believe, and one more. Each one is going to have about 50 questions in it. And I think what makes it difficult is it's not just what is the answer to this? What is the answer to this? Most questions, with the exception of a couple per section, are going to be giving you a passage. And that is fair both for biology and the reading section, where they'll give you a passage. And then the questions are going to be applying what you know about biology and chemistry, and then applying that to the passage and then answering the question. Right. So the reading comprehension is, as reading comprehension is everywhere, they'll give you a passage. They tend to be more difficult. They'll range anywhere from like philosophy to advertisements to science to humanities papers, and they'll ask you questions regarding that. The chemistry and the biology sections, more science-driven ones, will also give you passages. So it'll be about a certain organic compound, and then they might ask you about a certain type of reaction in the question. It's multiple choice. There's no free response questions, and it's all done on the computer. I don't know if the SAT is done on the computer these days or still the fill in the bubble sheet, but this is on the computer. And you'll go to a testing center. So you can't take it from home. You have to go to like a Pearson or one of the testing sites, and they'll have a computer there for you. You'll have to they'll do like a scan, make sure you're not bringing any unauthorized materials. They'll, if you're wearing glasses, they'll like scan your glasses, make sure there's nothing on there. And then you'll go and sit at a desktop and take the exam. And it's 6 to 8 hours or something like that, but it's a decently long exam.
I was wondering, this guys is a two-part question. Have you decided what specialty in medicine you're going to go towards, and like what is the process towards where you choose which specialty you're going?
Yeah, some people come in knowing exactly what they want to do. Some people go in and figure it out during medical school, and I was part of that latter group. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I'd only really learned about internal medicine and family medicine, and so really every other specialty was kind of new to me. So I figured it out during medical school during my third year. So at UNC, you spend your third year doing your rotations in the core specialties, which are family med, psych, general surgery, medicine, pediatrics, OBGYN, and then like some neurology, some emergency medicine, and a few others. And I think one breakdown is really, are you doing medicine or surgery, right? So internal medicine is going to be less procedural than something like surgery, which is you're going to spend time in the OR while also doing a lot of the diagnostic part of it and the analytical thinking component, right? So that's one big breakdown that is generally recommended, figuring out whether you want to do a specialty that's heavy in procedures. And there's a lot of subspecialties of internal medicine that are also procedure heavy. Like gastroenterology does a lot of procedures, cardiology does a lot of procedures. So it's not saying that if you go down the internal medicine route, you don't, but surgery, it's a huge component of it. So that's one breakdown that you can look into. Pay attention to what kinds of information and material interests you, right? So if you're studying one type of material and you realize, oh, maybe cardiology doesn't really interest me, but I get really excited when I study the endocrine system, or I get really excited when I'm studying the respiratory system, that's something to pay attention to, right? Because you want to enjoy what you're working with and what you're learning and things. So pay attention to what inspires you and what motivates you to learn. Another breakdown is lifestyle, right? Some specialties are harder on your life outside of medicine than other specialties. So that's something to consider as well in terms of what you want to be able to do outside of work, and what specialty is going to give you the most freedom to pursue those passions and hobbies and that life as well. And the kinds of patients you want to work with, right? If you want to work with a healthier population, a younger population, pay attention to that. If you want to work with sicker, more older people, pay attention to that, right? So there's a lot of different factors that go into it. And you can think about all of these things, but sometimes also at the end of the day, it's on what rotation were you the happiest, or what rotation did you love coming into work every day, even if it was at 4 a.m, or what exam did you love studying for the most, right? Sometimes it's not as simple as answering those questions and figuring it out, but sometimes it's really just based on a gut feeling, and that's okay too.
On the topic of shadowing and other extracurriculars, so what kind of activities did you have to do in undergrad, and what would you recommend when looking for these kind of activities?
Yeah, so I think there's a certain, again, there are boxes to check, right? I think some of the most important ones are community service, research, some sort of clinical experience, shadowing. I think those are kind of the big main components. And so the difference between shadowing and clinical experience, shadowing, you're primarily just observing and taking it all in. Clinical experience is something that I don't believe is officially required, but something that is really helpful when you're applying, to both know that this is something you have experienced, what it's like to practice clinical medicine or be immersed in that world, and to also show schools, hey, I'm committed to this profession. I really know what I'm getting myself into, and this is the experience that really allowed me to learn that.
Related to the extracurriculars that you did, how important would you say undergrad research is in your med school application, and as well as just gaining experience in the laboratory?
Yeah, I think research is pretty important. I don't think you need to have like 5 publications and a poster presentation, all of this, but as much as you can do to show that that is something you've explored, something you're interested in, because medical school is an academic endeavor and research is going to be a part of that in some fashion. And research doesn't just have to be pipetting or doing wet lab research.